Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Volvo Christian, and also welcome to this farewell video starring the XC60. I'm on my way now to deliver this XC60 back to Volvo Car Norway. It's a press car that I have been lending for the last 2 weeks. It's a MY23 XC60 Recharge T6 all-wheel drive in the dark theme, so meaning R design. It's in the ultimate spec, so it has most of the bells and whistles. It's actually just missing the air suspension and the upgraded Bowers & Wilkins stereo, but it has pretty much everything else. Yesterday I made a post on my Instagram page, Volvo Christian, with the good and bad after these 2 weeks. But I thought I was gonna make a YouTube video as well, with some final thoughts. But just to quickly a little summary of yesterday's post with the good and bad, and starting with the good. And the first good are actually the driving experience that the XC60 delivers. It's so comfortable and relaxing to drive, and it delivers just enough sportiness to put a smile on my face when I hammer it through tight and twisty mountain roads. So the driving experience are the biggest attraction. And then we come to the exterior styling and just the overall look of it. I'm usually a wagon man, but the XC60 has a strong appeal. Maybe not the MY23 specific, because I'm not a totally huge fan of this new rear bumper, but just the overall design. I'm a huge fan of the XC60. So that's the second thing. The last good thing on my top 3 list are actually the interior qualities, starting with how you enter the car. Elevated ground clearance and a door that builds over the sill gives a very easy in and out step of the car. You step in and not down. I also love the driving position that I get in the XC60. Just suits my body very good, and I also love the general interior qualities and just the sensation of being behind the wheel. So that's my top 3. However, the XC60 aren't perfect. I also have 3 things that I don't like. And actually, if we're gonna start with one of them, are actually the alloys on this press car. These generic XC40, C40 lookalike alloys. I'm not a fan of these alloys. Luckily, that can be fixed. We're just changing over to something more or better. But this is also subjective. Maybe you like them. I'm not a fan. The second thing that I don't like are actually the Android infotainment. I'm not a fan of this system at all. The sensors are still much better, in my opinion, on the way you interact with the system. I'm struggling big time with the Android because I know how good the sensor system are. And the last thing on my con list, or the bad things, are the removal of the light adjustment wheel. We're going to touch upon that in just a few minutes. So that was my top 3, good and bad. I also made a post on Instagram on Wednesday, so a couple of days ago, with the ugly, so good, bad and ugly parts with the XC60. And the ugly part are all the cost saving measurements Volvo are doing or have done on the MY23 lineup. Starting from 21, but now it's reached just a totally new level of cost savings. So check out that post if you want more context. So that was my good, bad and ugly. But I also have some additional thoughts, especially after yesterday's drive from Bergen to Oslo. And that's the air suspension, or the missing air suspension in this press car. I've always been very determined and strict that if you went for the XC60, you just had to get the air suspension in order to get the driving experience that at least I want. I've tested a bunch of XC60s without air, with different alloy options, 19, 20, 21, 22, winter, summer, and I've always thought that the XC60 without air was uncomfortable. It wasn't for me. It was not any good until now. I don't know exactly why. I have two theories. One is obviously it depends on where you're coming from. When I bought my XC60 with air, I was coming from an XC90. And sometimes when I have tested the XC60, I have went from either my own XC90, XC60 or the S90, all three with air. So you expect the same or better. But then when you jumped into XC60 without air, it was a step down either way. But now, on this occasion, I'm coming from 10 months ownership with a V60 and that doesn't have air. And I also, the last weeks, tested the Polestar 2 XC40 C40. So cars on the CMA platform, also without air. And when I then jumped into this one, it was an improvement because of the longer wheelbase, the bigger car. But on yesterday's drive, I was actually quite impressed over the XC60. And so my second theory, and this is probably also what has happened. I think Volvo has improved the XC60 just over time, small steps, and maybe some big changes for 22 or 23 model, because this is the first time I'm driving an XC60 without air that I'm actually quite pleased with. And this is running on 20-inch winter tires, so I'm pretty impressed. The second thing are regards to the bigger battery that you get with the long range. Volvo improved the electric powertrain, or the Recharge. Has a bigger battery on 18.8 kilowatt hours, introduced from model year 22.5, and then you also get a bigger electric engine. Before it was on 87 horsepower, now it's on 145 horsepower. And I tested this powertrain a bunch of times, but on yesterday's drive I could really push it slightly further. And I'm actually quite impressed of this. It's like having two cars in one. You have a little electric car inside of this XC60. With the new electric engine, you can there's a higher tolerance for kickdowns in pure mode. With my S90 and also the V60 and the previous cars, if you took too hard kickdown, it will just jump over to petrol power. But here there's a higher tolerance, you can actually push it quite far down, still in pure mode. And in regards to top speed, that's also been increased. Before it was maximum 125, now it's 140 kilometers. That's the maximum speed in the pure mode. And it's also quite strong. So just on regular driving up a mountain pass or in just normal traffic, I've been driving this back and forward to work for 2 weeks, almost just using the electric engine. So that's another huge positive. Two big positive aspects with this XC60, but sadly I have to end it with a thing that really pisses me off. And that was on yesterday's drive over. It was pitch black outside. I was driving and I'm not 20 any longer, so maybe my eyes are old. Let's just turn down the music here. Let's see. Just tune down the fans as well. Let's see, yeah. As I said, I'm not 20 any longer. So when it's dark outside, I like to dim down these two screens and get them as far down as possible. And before, you could use a wheel here to just tune down the lights on these. For the MY23, Volvo have weirdly enough discontinued that wheel, and now it's placed into this useless screen. So when I was driving in the dark, settings, driving, no, that was not correct, controls, and then I have to scroll and find this wheel here. I can put in a picture or a video sequence where you can see what it does at night. But I tuned that all the way down, and I also took the interior light intensity at off, completely off, even if it's not completely off, because you still have light in the orifice gear shifter. So I had it off, all good, and I was driving, but I still found the light to be disturbing. I couldn't tune it enough down, and I think with the wheel I could get further down in brightness. But that's just one of the elements that I'm gonna touch upon now. Because then I stopped at the grocery store to just buy some drinks and food. So I pulled in, parked, went into the store and came back, and I had to back out because my laziness, I drove straight in. But when I then was going to back out, I couldn't see anything on the rear view camera. I had it like this, couldn't see anything because the brightness was all the way down. So I had to then back into this controls, tune it up again, and then go back into the screen to see anything on this display because it was so dark, and the reversing lights on the XC60 are just a joke. So tune it up to get some visibility, backed out, and I was gonna drive again and had to do the same routine all over again. Into the controls, scroll and tune it down again. God, so damn annoying. And several times on the trip, like driving into a long tunnel or something with much light, I wanted to tune the lights up again, but I had to go into the screen. I was getting really frustrated about this useless interaction. It reminded me of a TikTok user I've seen, TikTok Vic. It's like it's an American dude that's getting really annoyed and frustrated and screams hysterically funny. I was feeling the same. I was thinking I had to sign up for some anger management course because it was so infuriating that I had to go into this awful screen to do this adjustment. And sometimes it didn't react if I'd missed. You see now, I'm touching the... I'm so annoyed over this. And I was talking to a friend, and she was thinking exactly the same. And she mentioned also this capacitive BS in the roof. Before it was buttons, now it's like a capacitive touch. Who are thinking about this? It was much better when I had the switch than this capacitive thing. It looks good, but the interaction, just give me a physical buttons. And this, this is so damn annoying. It is almost more annoying than the useless adaptive cruise adjustment. You have to go into the screen to shift between stereo assist or not stereo assist when you have the adaptive cruise enabled. Because when you activate it, just take away these. When you activate it, door open. You just enable or disable the function. So the light adjustment really pissed me off yesterday. and that's quite a shame because I'm a huge fan of the XC60. And I will actually go so far to say that if you're considering the XC60, just go right ahead and buy it. This is an awesome car. I will add air suspension just for the enhanced comfort to get it even better, but it's actually quite good also in this spec. And given that I'm me, I love music, I would also opt for the Bowers & Wilkins. So that was my good, bad and ugly and the 3 last thoughts. I had a blast the last 2 weeks, and it's going to be sad to deliver this back, even if it wasn't my kind of spec. I can put in something I built or configured yesterday. That's more me. But anyway, it's going to be sad to deliver it back. So a huge thanks for Volvo for letting me get the possibility to test this. And I highly recommend everyone to take this out for a spin yourself. Call your local dealer and take this for a spin. You won't regret it. It's just such an awesome car. So I think I'm gonna end it there. As always, thank you for every like, comment, and if you also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And stay tuned for the next video coming on this channel. So take care and bye bye.